So hi, my name's Shanta Brandt-Larsen, and I'm the host of Motherhood Unplugged 2.0. This summit has a big purpose. The big purpose is 5 years worth of research, which studied what makes a difference between your future childhood success. And success not just being about what you end up doing in life, but really actually fundamentally your happiness, your cognitive ability, your leadership, your perseverance in life. And there were key factors that it came down to, which was predominantly the mother, which was everywhere. The father only came up in cognitive ability, so sorry fathers, and sense making, what you do with your children. And some things which we would underrate, like make-believe play, were hugely significant in the future happiness and leadership of your children. So how much they imagine doing God knows what, mine are in jungles and jumping over. So these things were really insightful. And then I tried to make a difference in terms of qualitative research. But what I actually found was this became bigger than me, so it wasn't something that I could change by myself. So then I reached out to some pretty influential people, like Heather Criswell here, who were already making their mark in motherhood, because it is bigger than me, where I want mothers to be able to reclaim their health, their happiness, and their time. And Heather, you have already founded your own school in 21. You were a best-selling author, and you touch so many little people's lives, little human lives, 30,000 plus, but their families' lives, and things that I just started touching the surface of in terms of communication. So thank you so much for being a part of this summit and this purpose. It's a little bit of an introduction.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be a part of this and so grateful for the work that you are doing to spread light and love on this planet, especially for the moms on this planet, because I think a lot of moms silently suffer, which I have done, and and sometimes not so silently.
Yeah.
So, I think that what you're doing is really providing a source of love for people to reconnect to. So I'm so incredibly grateful for that and for being here.
Okay. So we're going to start with motherhood, and then we'll kind of work our way through to kind of different tools and what came up in the research. But I think the first question, because we're all in the summit we're mothers, what do you love most about being a mum?
What do I love most? What I love most is that my child and all the children that I've helped raise over the years help bring me back to who I am, who I really am on this planet. And they continually remind me what matters, what's important, what is love. So that when I forget, I have a moment where I say, okay, I remember. And, I was walking out of a grocery store the other day, and I had our little puppy. We have a brand new puppy, and my son on one hand, and groceries, and, doing the whole mom thing. And I missed the curb and literally fell into this bed of rocks.
Oh, ouch.
And I was like holding back the tears in pain, because I was like, every fiber of me just got beat up. So I go home, and my son, in all his greatness, he says, "Mommy, I need to talk to you." And I'm like, "Buddy, I just need to get inside and clean my wounds." And he says, "Listen, I need to help you." And he goes to the edge of the curb at our house, and he says, "Now, when you want to go up on a curb, you need to put one foot up and then the other foot up, and you get up on the curb." And I just had this moment where I was like, thank you. I appreciate that. And he's like, "I'm here to help you, Mommy. I'm here to help you." And when we can take moments that are so painful and hard and difficult and really see the light and humor in it and the greatness in it, that's when we can give ourselves a break and, get through life in that state of, when pain hurts, see the greatness in it and keep going, right? And smile through it. And so he's just reminding me of love every minute of the day. And even in the times when he's in chaos or temper tantrums or whatever, he's reminding me who I am. I am love, and I'm going to respond in love as much as possible.
So how many do you have? Just the one, or how many kids do you have?
Just one little muffin. He is, we have had quite the journey of going through parenthood, I have had 3 miscarriages. We lost 5 babies along the way. And I just kind of said, no more. I couldn't endure it anymore, physically and emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. So we had decided to adopt, and we went international, and it was quite the process. But he was meant to be with us, and he literally chose us because another child was supposed to come with us. And at the last minute, that child got adopted, and our son popped into our lap, literally.
Oh, wow.
So it was all meant to be, and I'm not sure we're going to do any more of that. But we'll see. We'll see.
How did he pop into your lap? It was...
Well, literally, I went through this whole experience where we had this child that we were going to adopt, and we were flying out to go meet him because it was a 3-step process. We had to fly out there and then fly out again to go to court and then fly out again to get him. Okay. So it was quite the process and thousands of miles. And this child got adopted right up from underneath us. So they called us and said, I'm sorry, we lost the baby. So I went through this whole experience of a miscarriage again in a different way. Yeah. And then 5 minutes later, they said, we've got another boy. He's yours. Get on a plane. So got on a plane. So, everything, again, tragedy, sadness, grief, works out in a way that we have no idea. Everything's serving us in some way. And this little boy was meant to be in our lives, and we were destined for each other, if you will.
And how did that then change you or define you? So going from not being a mom to suddenly, especially with a 5-minute call, how did that then redefine you?
Well, it's challenging because I've been working with kids since I was 12 years old. I started babysitting at 12, right? Owned a preschool at 21 for nearly a decade. Wrote a book on how to raise a happy child and be happy too. And when I got home, all of a sudden, and we had fostered children along the way too. We had children that lived with us. So I've always had children in our home for years. But something was different. And when I got him home, I started to doubt myself more. And my whole life is wise inside. My company is wise inside. We have this wisdom within. It's always with us. And I started thinking, oh my gosh. And so life was reflecting that back to me. People were saying, oh, you're not holding him right. You're not feeding him right. And I was like, I picked up 30,000 kids. Like, I got this. But there was moments where I was like, oh my God, they're right. I don't have this. Like, I'm not doing it right. And so what I realized is a real compassion for moms, for new parents, that here I am. I have been in training for 20 years, like I've been in training for this for 20 years, and I still felt doubt. And I thought to myself, if I feel doubt, having worked with all these children and really knowing that this is what I'm good at on this planet, then how must a mom feel that doesn't know what to do or feels guilt or frustration? So it gave me a sense of compassion to really help moms connect back into that wisdom within, to get all that information and filter it through your heart and what's best for me, what's best for my family. So compassion was a huge byproduct of actually becoming a mom. Compassion for myself, first and foremost, compassion for other people, and their children as well.
So actually there was this new self-awareness of actually what was going on. So the doubt was a symptom, and there was a self-awareness of why am I doubting myself? And actually the solution was compassion. You are doing enough. You are doing it right. And you change that to a bigger mission of then sharing that with other mums who perhaps, hadn't had the years of experience. That's very powerful, Heather.
Yes. And even seeing the things that I feel guilty about, like being a mom entrepreneur, right? I'm on the phone, I'm on my computer, I'm not paying attention all the time. And I started feeling really guilt-ridden about that, like, oh man, they're writing articles about moms like me, And what I realized is how can I flip that for myself? And the beauty of it is that my son, when he's at church, he wants to get on stage because he wants to be like mommy and be a speaker. And, he'll get on his phone and he'll be like, yes, I'm so grateful to have you. I'm going to meet you at 9:30. And so what I believe is bad is actually a really beautiful thing that's helping shape him and what his wants and desires are on this planet in a way that I have no idea. So seeing it that it's all serving us and removing that guilt that it's serving us in some way. And it's challenging, but it shows up in beautiful ways. And, he'll be in the shower. He'll be like, I'm Jacob Criswell, speaker, author, and founder of Wise Inside.
So actually there's this role modelling that's allowing him to also then find his passion, live his passion. So you're touching on challenges, yeah? So mum guilt what challenges do you face? Was it just mum guilt or was there anything else?
Well, adopting a child internationally came with its whole set of baggage. He did not speak our language. We brought him home at 15 months. He was in an orphanage. So he couldn't walk and talk and do the things, hadn't experienced life as we know life to be as a nurturing mom and father in a family. And so the story he came with required an infusion of insane love. We had to infuse so much love into the story and realize that he still has a story, even though he's not there anymore. It's part of who he is. And honoring that in the moments when he's having a meltdown and people don't understand, or he can't speak and people are like, well, he's 3. What's wrong with him? Mm-hmm. Or, he can't articulate what he wants, or he hits a kid. We went through all of those experiences because being in the situation he was growing up, he had to be scrappy to live. So
how do you face those? How are you dealing with those challenges? How are you overcoming those with him?
Well, a lot of work has been on myself and not caring about what other people think. Because when I can sit with him in a temper tantrum, know that's not who he is, know that he's struggling with finding the words to say what he wants to say. And even at 6 years old, he has moments where he can't find the words because the translation is off. And so you see the little gears turning, and at the same time, you're like, I hope he finds it before he gets so angry. And so there's still these moments, but really sitting with him in love in that space is easy for me because I've done it with so many children. Okay. The challenging part is when another mom or another dad or somebody else judges me or my child. That's when I have moments of like, you don't know, the mama bear comes out. You have no idea what this kid's been through. You have no idea. Yeah. And on the same token, it's really none of their business. And it's none of my business that they have an opinion about me. It's life. And I'm not going to explain his story to thousands of people so that they feel better. Yeah. I'm just going to choose to feel better in the moment. And that translates regardless if your child has that story or not. We have all been in a space where your kid's in a temper tantrum on the store and, or throws something or hits another kid or whatever. And, holding space for them that we're just practicing and working this out, and really holding space for the other child that he may hit and say, here's your opportunity to tell somebody, don't hit me, and empower those people in those spaces instead of make them a victim of their circumstances. So it's all in this divine learning experience that we are all a part of. If we can step back and see that big picture. It's hard.
We're all practicing, yeah. And how do you deal with the mum guilt?
I do my best to have moments with my son that he will embed and anchor the love that I have for him. And they're tiny moments, but I want to anchor that love in every opportunity possible. And so when he gets out of the car at school in the morning, I say, remember, you are the light. And he says, shine bright, So when we go to bed, I created this love bubble that I have on my website now for moms because I am a walking testimony for it. But he was having a really hard time sleeping. and waking up in nightmares and hysterical. So I created this little love bubble that we do at the end of the night. It's on my phone, 5 minutes, and it talks about, wasn't today a beautiful day? You had air in your lungs. You were here. You matter. You're on purpose. You have value. All of these things, you are loved. You shine bright. And when you come into challenges, you're going to get through them. And I'm going to support you along the way. You know, all of those things so that he goes to bed anchored in love.
Yeah, it's real anchoring and I guess gratitude messaging, and that's quite powerful.
Yes. And so he has slept through the night. We have eliminated the night terrors. You know, all of those things have literally fallen by the wayside because all the stuff that happens in the day, all the negative criticism, self-doubt, you know, just kind of stripping away that natural love for ourselves that happens on a daily basis is restored in a 5-minute space.
So I was going to ask what changed, but fundamentally, was that one of the key things that has made the difference?
You mean as far as the...
So you've got the challenges have been there, and I think you've then created this thing like, okay, it actually doesn't matter what other people are thinking. You've given yourself the compassion, the reassurance. But the other thing that's changed, this bubble that you do at night, which surrounds with love and comfort and reassurance and positivity and gratitude, is that the thing that has really made the difference?
You know, I will say that, yes, it's a combination of small little things, but that in itself is a huge anchor for us in our family because we all have moments, right? Like, I'm like, get in the car. Like, we've got to go. Like, you know?
I'm laughing because I can hear my voice.
Buckle in. Like, you know, it's just incessant. And so for me, that guilt gets subsided even for myself when I listen to the bubble with him, that love bubble with him. That guilt gets set aside of the whole, I was short, I was impatient with him, I was snappy, whatever. It gets set aside and, I was love to him.
And how did you come up with that? How did you, because it's very powerful, how did you come up with that?
You know, it was divinely inspired, for real. My friend came over and took my son before he was in school. I had some beautiful village of women that helped me because I was struggling. I was really struggling, you know, because I was doing my best to run an online business, promote and sell my books, all of the things that we do. And I had this little boy that needed a lot more too. So my friend came over and I literally was sitting at my desk and I said, how can I help him feel good before he goes to bed so that he is in the mindset of love, compassion, comfort, safety, all of the things that when we go to sleep, that stuff bubbles up and expresses itself, right? And I literally just pressed record, did it in one take. My son came home. I said, listen to this and tell me what you think. And he's like, Mommy, that's beautiful. I just love it. And my friend was like, you have to record that. Like, you have to put that up for sale. And I said, well, I'm going to test it out for me and see how it goes. And I'll tell you, I'm a walking billboard and it's like 99 cents. So it's not like a big deal, you know? But
so the reason I say that's so powerful is in the research. When we talk about mother, we talk about father. There are two things, safety and love. So whether you call it attachment, whether you call it anchoring. But the key statistical correlation was that safety and love of the mother to the child in the development of all of those things. So what you have is absolutely really powerful in terms of the future of your child and the children out there, because it's one of the key interventions which will define their success in the future. So that's why I just wanted to understand how you came up with that, because that anchoring, that was statistically really significant, and it's a really then clever tool, and I need to have a further look at that.
Well, I'm gonna quote you on that too, because that is the truth of it. And you know, especially from the circumstances that we came from, where we didn't have that natural connection at birth.
And happy to send you the statistical correlations as well. So evidence-based, happy to share that back with you. So really evidence-based in terms of what that does. Okay. And so, what other opportunities did you grab, or that was the key thing? Because I mean, it's were there any other opportunities that you grabbed? Because really, being a best-selling author and all of that you've done, it doesn't just happen overnight. Were there any key opportunities as a mum that have really supported you?
Well, what I will say is that I wrote the book with my co-author, Taryn Voget, before my son came home. Okay. And I was grateful for that because it wasn't muddled energy, right?
Right.
I didn't have the guilt. I didn't have all of the things that were starting to raise up. And so it was super clean. And what I realized is that along the way, all of these principles work, right? Every principle in the book works. I've worked with thousands of children. They work. The key is that how do we get clear on our energy, right? And I really believe that the center of our experience with our children comes from the center of who we are. And when we're frustrated or sad, we're going to experience that with our children, with our spouses, with our friends. And so it's really my job to come back to who I am. And for me, I am not a stay-at-home mom. I love doing work outside of the home. I love doing these kind of events. I love promoting my books and being okay with who I am on this journey. And that my friend that loves staying at home, that she doesn't feel bad because she's not, bringing in a financial amount of, financial support to the family, but she's creating this whole space of a foundation for her family that's far more important at times than money, So we all work in combination together and really honoring who we are on this journey. Because I say that all the time, that my whole life is not my child. My child is a big portion of my life, as my husband, as my friends, as my business, as my expression through my books and my products of me as a human being on this planet. So that's really what I've come full circle to, of honoring myself on the journey. And if we as mothers can honor ourselves, however that looks, stay-at-home mom, working mom, write a book, do some art, whatever that is for you, and know that that's who you are, then everything kind of subsides, right? Like all of the challenges just kind of go down a notch. They're still there, but they go down a notch.
And what tools or advice would you advise? I mean, regardless of I think you've nailed it. You've kind of gone, well, being true to who I am and my purpose, regardless of what you do, your choice. But are there any tools and advice that you'd recommend to mums?
My favorite piece of advice is that in any given circumstance, to stop, take a breath, close your eyes, and say, what am I wanting? Really ask myself, what am I wanting? Because there is a wisdom within us that is always guiding us and helping us along the way. And some people put that as externally, maybe a God, spirit, universe. Some people put it internally. However you express it for yourself, there is that wisdom within. And to follow that, have the moment where, the example I have is I took my son to this school and it was like an after school program. He wasn't in school because we were struggling with schools. And the after school program, I was like, I don't really want to do this. But something just kept saying, you have to go, you have to go. And I get there and I'm like, this is not going to be good for him. And I'm looking around, I'm like, why am I even here? And one of the moms said to me, yeah, this school's great. And I was like, this school? I didn't even know this was a school. I thought it was like a community center. Ends up being this school. Go back the next day. Ends up being where he has fit in and found his love for himself in a community where he feels loved, valued, appreciated, acknowledged, where he's never felt that way in any school. And we've tried many schools. So, following that gut feeling of I knew I had to show up. I wasn't sure why. I didn't really want to, but something said, go. When I got there, I was like, why am I even here? And so really realizing, what am I wanting? So in that moment when I was standing there and I didn't want to be there anymore, I said, what am I wanting? I'm wanting a solution for my son. I'm wanting a solution for him to feel good and have an education and have have friends and experiences outside of me, outside of each other. And that's what showed up. So asking yourself, what am I wanting in any given situation? And following the signs along the way, right? Like following the signs, the little divine breadcrumbs that lead you to, the next best experience for you.
I think that's really good advice. I did another interview with a very powerful mum called Kelly Culver, and she is an inner voice coach. And she tunes into the mean girl and your inner voice and how you tune into that. So I think what you just described is also tuning into your inner voice and trusting that inner voice. And how do you tune into that inner voice? Because often we can ignore it, or we're not still enough for that. And one of the things she's gifting the joiners of the summit is 5 days in terms of how do you journal and how do you stay still and meditate to really tune into that, to be even more powerful in your purpose and your passion, which you're allowed. So I think you've said really is then also having that question to yourself about what is it that I want? And you made yourself stand still to ask that question, and it was exactly what you needed. And what he needed, right? What he needed as well. It wasn't just you. And tuning into that gave you the right answer for his life as well going forward. I mean, having friends, as a child and being happy, as a child is certainly, needed.
Yeah, and that was our experience over time, was he never really fit in. And so he was constantly getting this feeling of rejection. I don't fit in. People don't like me. And when that shifts, when we surround ourselves with people that love us and support us, we remember who we are, right? We remember. And so, I totally agree. And it's hard. It's a challenge to stop and take a breath. And for me, I put my hands on my heart and I just take a deep breath into my heart. What am I wanting? And it may look weird to people, but I'll tell you, it's the best guidance that I have, because we are inundated with information, right? It's just pouring into us and leading us to a lot of self-doubt and disempowerment.
Okay. And so what's your focus now? Because you're full of purpose and passionate. What's your focus now?
My focus now is just helping people return to love, to let love find its way back in, however that looks, in parenting, in experiences. I, just authored a book on talking to the other side when all my family members passed away. Mm-hmm. So finding love in grief and loss, and, those experiences really shape us and shift us. And if we can return to love and see that everything is serving us in some greater way, then we can eliminate the victim in us and put a light on that space and rise up to be empowered and say, you know what? That wasn't my favorite thing that happened, but here's what came out of it, and here's how I'm moving forward. And, my life has been a series of those events, especially with, I've lost every family member in the past 12 years, everybody. So mom, dad, grandparents, 5 babies, 2 dogs, like it just was knocked down, drag out. And, people say to me a lot of time, how are you still happy? How do you still, go on? And because I know that there's greater things that are coming from all of this. Had my family not passed away, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to write a book that is already helped so many people through grief and loss, which are the most challenging, in my experience, emotions to deal with and to move through. So just seeing that even my son, the experiences he had as a child, I feel bad for because I wasn't there. And yet that has shaped who he is. Okay. And, that makes him be the kid that's like, you're not going to tell me what to do. And I'm just like, okay. Let's get some fine tuning on that so you can have people hear you better.
Round up those messages.
He stands in his power because he's had to. So would I want to take those experiences away? Absolutely not. Okay. It's just being bullied as a child. I talk about that in both of my books. Severe bullying. People say, well, would you want to take it away? Absolutely not. That is who I am. Mm. That helped me stand up and be vulnerable to people and say, this is not okay. Yeah. And help many people along the road. So all of our challenges are giving us the opportunity to help each other return to love. Love will find a way. It will find a way.
So I was going to ask what's stopping you, but I think you're using the challenges as part of the opportunity. So, yeah.
Yes. I love that. The challenges as part of the opportunity.
Yeah.
That's it. When we can shift that experience for ourselves, that challenges don't hurt us or stop us, but they actually give us an opportunity to see something in a different way, to experience things in a different way, then life shifts instantly. You know, the lens shifts instantly.
So what experiences do you want your child to have that grows them and help them make sense of the world? Because so mothers was one of the pieces, but like I said, sense making and what children do and how they see the world was also a significant factor. Yeah. So what would you want your child experiences do you want your child to have to make sense of the world as they grow up?
When you say that, it was really interesting because last Christmas, or Christmas before last, actually, we were the day before Christmas, Christmas Eve, we were coming back from a friend's house, and intuitively something said, turn down this road. And I was like, it's not the right road to turn down. I'm supposed to go further. Okay. But I was like, all right, I'll turn down the road. Again, listening to your gut, right? Even though it doesn't make sense. And I witnessed a pretty horrific car accident. And pulled up behind the car that got hit the most and helped her, left my son in his car seat in our truck, and her car catches on fire, pull her out and put her over there, go over to the other lady who is feeling like she's dying. And she's like, I'm dying. I'm literally dying. And having a moment with her of, you are surrounded in love. People are here to help you. We are supporting you. And my son in the whole time is like watching this. And people would say, oh, God, I wouldn't want my son to watch that. Like, oh, my God, that's terrible. But having a moment where we say, again, taking a challenge as an opportunity. And I pulled the truck when the car caught on fire, I was like, well, I should probably move my truck so it doesn't blow up too with my kid in it. So I jump in my truck, pull it into the driveway. I pull my son out because by then paramedics were there, everything. And I looked at my son. My son looked at me and he says, Mommy, what happened? And I said, here's a chance for us to see how beautiful life is. When things happen, terrible things happen, people come together in love. Look at all these people that are helping. Okay. You have the paramedics, the fire. You had people coming out of their house, people stopping, loving people, getting them ice, like embracing people.
Seeing the good in life.
Seeing that even in tragedy, there is love, and we are part of that love. And I'll tell you, for me, as an experiencer, it literally came to a complete halt. The experience did. And in slow motion, I saw like love. That's all I saw was love. And I'll tell you, I've witnessed and been in accidents, and usually, it's your fault. What are you thinking? You know, everybody's screaming. This scene was, are you okay? Are you okay? I don't care whose fault it is. We all are okay. You know, and he got to witness that. So when you ask, what do I want my kid to experience and witness? I want him to see that life is love, even in the worst times. Because when we can remember that, then you see the beauty, right? Like then there's not depression and angst and anxiety and frustration. There's, oh, this was hard. This was terrible. And yet look at all the love. And that's what I want him to know, is that he is love. We are love, and we are ambassadors of love on this planet. And we are here as a force.
And I think that's a challenge also of this generation. So when we think about motherhood in this generation, there are sometimes, not seeing so many positive messages, but also hiding or not showing them that life can be down times and good times. And so when we come to things like depression and how do you prepare your kids in the future, there are down times. There are things that aren't going well, but yes, you are surrounded by love. So there's the both sides that we still need to be able to show kids, and not the kind of gloss that's so easy to gloss over in the social media world. So
agreed. He's, like he's seen me cry when I'm sad, and I say to him, I'm sad. I'm really sad, and mommy just has to feel this for a minute. Yeah. I need to feel this sadness. And so now he says to me, mommy, I'm really frustrated. I just need to have some space to clear my thoughts.
To have the emotion, right? To have that time and have that emotion. Okay.
Yeah, because when we push it down, it explodes, right? It's just the way it works. It's like a ticking time bomb. But when he has the moment and can express himself in a way that is good for both of us, in other words, you're not hitting me and, spitting on me and, beating me up along the way, but that I hold that space for you of, you're having a moment, I will wait for you. And that's what I say to him all the time. And isn't that the most powerful thing when you have a friend or a family member that says, it's okay, I'll wait for you. Yeah. I'll wait.
It is.
Powerful. Yeah. And then he knows I can have it, I'm still loved, and we can work through it.
So two last questions. The other question, I'm going to phrase it in a different way. What's the one thing you would want to go and tell you before you flew out to go and pick up your son? What's the one thing you would go and tell yourself? So it's from a hindsight point of view. You didn't know then, because motherhood is a complete journey, right? Like you say, we're practicing. But what would you have gone and told yourself?
I would have told myself, don't worry about perfection, because perfection is an illusion. And,
too true.
You might not be the mom that decorates for Christmas and Halloween because you don't like clutter in your house. And that's okay. Yeah. So he's not gonna have this horrible experience because you have chosen that path. So really, being okay with it's all gonna work out in a beautiful way, and perfection isn't the goal here. It's just truth and love is the goal here. And, and being who I am and letting him see me as a human being, not just his mom, as a human being.
Okay. And then finally, is there anything you want to share back with the audience of the summit that brings them back to you and your just amazing work? Is there anything you want to share back?
I'm on this path right now with this whole love bubble thing and really helping moms, dads feel better about the process and enjoy the journey along the way, right? And so, if anything that I can do to help people come back to themselves and know that they are wise inside, and even though I wrote a book, that talks about it, to really look at that book and say, okay, how does that feel for me? Like, does that resonate with me? Because some things may and some things may not. And honoring that space for ourselves of, this is what I want, and standing in that power of this is what I want and the experience that I want. So if I can help anybody come back to that wisdom within and know that love for themselves and their children and each other, then I've done my job here.
And I know we're looking through to an ebook for you, and you have a poster for the children. So I think that all of this is very powerful for mothers to bring that into their lives. And
yes. Yeah. The Love Bundle. The Love Bundle is what we're offering, and it has the poster, I Believe I Am, which you can do. We did that in my preschool, where they actually, I believe I am a unique and precious human being, So, yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much, Heather. It was an absolute privilege, an absolute joy, full of some laughs as well, and touching on, the goods, the bads, and some sad times, but really great to interview you.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate being here. Thank you so much. You're doing beautiful work, and I'm so grateful that you are out there doing it.
Okay, thank you.